Let's start with Leeds United 3, Chelsea 1. What a win for the team in white. Great performance by those Leeds. A much-needed win, of course, after their I say struggles. I mean, it's struggling to pick up a few points. People, myself included, thought, I do fancy them still to go down, but Daniel Farke has shoved one in the eye of me and one in the eye of Chelsea Football Club, because they were flying high off the back of a very impressive victory against Barcelona, Jim. They drew against Arsenal, being down to 10 men, of course, for most of the game, went toe-to-toe with the soon-to-be Premier League champions. But they went to Elland Road, and my goodness, they got biffed. They got biffed all over the gaff.
They did get biffed by lovely Daniel Farke as well. And I think... you're right to mention the week Chelsea have had. I think it looked like there was evidence of some tired legs out there, because not only have they had two very intense games, they played over a half with 10 men there. So I think that is certainly a factor. But so I was at the Emirates last night to watch Arsenal v Brentford. You see the score and you think, oh, that's brilliant that they've raced into that lead. But it's, they've scored after 6 minutes. Plenty of time for Chelsea to get back into this. They probably will. You see they go 2-0 up. You go, okay. But then Pedro Neto scores and you think, all right, Chelsea will probably turn the screw a bit here. But then I got home and saw how the game was unfolding, and I was surprised by how comfortable Leeds were. Yeah. Because... as you've mentioned, they've had some difficult results recently, and it was starting to look like Leeds might get cut adrift with Burnley and Wolves. And, I think we're all kind of invested in the success of the promoted teams in a quite outsized way at the moment because of the way the past few seasons have gone. So I think Leeds have a lot of kind of goodwill from the neutrals, and I'd certainly include myself amongst that. I was just so impressed with how calm and comfortable they were. Yeah. They were really, really good for it as well. I mean, obviously, Tosin Adarabioyo makes a big mistake that gives them that goal, but it comes from their pressure. Yeah. And, the structure that Farke has them playing under at the moment, this kind of 3-5-2 situation with the wing-backs is working really, really well for them.
Well, it is working. He obviously changed it against Man City, and they were gutted not to get a result. I mean, when you said they've had some tricky results, I think... They have, the Man City one's is an obvious one, so I'll go on about that too much. But I suspect there have been some Leeds fans saying, well, hang on, we've got it in us to stay up this season. And we've, Wolves are, I mean, they obviously lost again last night, 2 points, it's a very poor tally. So that's that. With Burnley, I think they've done all right. But with, you would say, a more limited squad and a manager who has not really done that well previously in the Premier League, you worry about them. The same could be said for Farke. But I think Leeds are the one, aren't they, of those three teams that have been down there in recent weeks. They're the ones who people are thinking, okay, well what have you got? And Peter, with this victory, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin suddenly playing like a man possessed. Come on.
I mean, he was present and he was there to touch the ball.
He was there. He was the Sky Sports man of the match, Peter.
All right, fine. I was more thinking of him getting the final touch on his goal. But was he actually the man of the match? It's very interesting. That. Well, I just think that him playing two men up top just seemed to help Leeds out massively, and he's become less kind of dogmatic about how he approaches games at Farke. The wing backs, like Jim said, they look really up for it, and they look like they're willing to show something in the Premier League. Hoping against hope that they're going to retain their Premier League status. But is it too late for Farke? I mean, obviously there was a lot of talk going into this match that Farke's Leeds United did beat Maresca's Leicester City twice in like a couple of seasons ago. So like there might be something to be said for he's just got Maresca's number and Maresca just overthinks things. But I do think I wish he'd put these sort of performances together and like you say, the performance against Manchester City together a little bit earlier in the season, because it just seems like a little bit too late, and they may be looking for somebody else, a little bit of fresh blood and the long forgotten new manager bounce to get him out of it.
They've just got out of the relegation zone, and you're saying it's too late.
Yeah, but I think Pete's onto something there. I think Farke in particular does feel like a manager where a short bad run starts to bring the doubts in, and obviously we're speculating. We don't know how the higher ups at Leeds think, but speculation does seem to stick to him very quickly, doesn't it? So he needs to build on this, really, of course, and he's it's created a good platform for them to do it, and I really hope he can do it as well. But I absolutely know what Pete's saying.
Well, I think we'll get to the performance in just a sec, but to tap into what you're saying, Forest above them, Forest, Fulham, Bournemouth, Brentford, Newcastle, Spurs, Everton, you're into the top 10. The teams above, it's difficult. However,
Liverpool the weekend.
So there you go. There's a chance for some more points. I mean, West Ham are the team below. It really is. At the moment, you're trying to scrutinise it, and as Luke said on was it the mailbag this week, or certainly maybe on Monday,
maybe just a text
that that we are scrutinising the bottom three more than ever because of what's happened in recent seasons. But look, I want to focus more on the performance against Chelsea because they were excellent, and that 3-5-2 formation seems to have clicked, for want of a better word, perhaps. And it's those little things when a manager changes something up and it starts to, the performances are there, and then you get a big result like this that can, hush the doubters for a little bit of time. But they were excellent all over the pitch. I mean, the intensity that Chelsea had against Arsenal and Barcelona, Leeds seemed to have stole it from them. And as I say, just splurged it everywhere, all across Ellen Road, because from start to finish they were at it. Early goal, great header. And they look dangerous.
The leap on him,
unreal.
Yeah. Cracking into that.
It was. There's something about I think with Leeds, because of where the away fans are, you can't see them behind either goal. So when a goal goes in at Ellen Road, it's particularly raucous. Do you know what I mean? Because some grounds behind, usually the away fans are in the corner. You see. If a goal goes in, there's only half of it celebrate, or only a section or something like that. Ellen Road was pumping, and when it's like that, they won't be denied. Tanaka's goal, though, come on, come on!
What a proper sniper shot! I love that type of finish from there, where it's just so kind of so precisely placed. Absolutely brilliant. It's a really good move from Leeds as well. Again, that came from their intensity.
Yeah, it did. That was the thing that surprised me about DCL getting the man of the match. How good Ethan Ampadu was.
Yes,
it was almost like him coming through at Chelsea kind of quality. You're like, oh, this guy's going to be really special. I realise he's how old is he now? 25. I do like him, and I do wish he could sort of maintain a Premier League buff, because I think he's a really, really good footballer. I'd like him to grow out his dreads as well. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, is kind of former players coming back to haunt you is a thing that every football fan has experienced. But when you have such a high turnover as Chelsea, that's kind of happening in every game, isn't it?
You loaned them to us, for crying out loud.
It's inevitable, though, isn't it? Yeah, if you stockpile that many players. But yeah, all across the pitch they were superb. You're right to highlight Ampadu, and at the back as well. Just solid. I mean, they did not give Chelsea much. The goal that Neto scored was a bit of a funny one. Sort of bundled it in, but as you say, Jim, they didn't panic. They didn't think, oh, blimey, we're playing against the good side. Cole Palmer came on. It didn't. I know he had a chance. He might have done a little bit better, but they
definitely should have done a little bit better. But that just shows a player who's just not played for a while.
Yeah. But Leeds could have really gone, okay, right, everybody behind the ball, and tried to kind of see it out not see it out. I mean, he scored.
Well, they looked as likely to get a fourth as Chelsea did to get a second, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Was it just all about Pedro Neto doing his fingers in the air celebration for his goal when they were losing? Leeds must have been like, well, I think they've gone a bit mad.
Yeah.
I think they've scored more goals, and they've taken their foot off the gas.
Yeah, because he popped his fingers in his ears really briefly and almost apologetically, didn't he? It's like, just don't do it then.
Yeah.
I mean, he may well have been getting some treatment from those fans. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's previous there I'm unaware of. Who knows? I wasn't at the match. But yes, Dominic Calvert-Lewin settled the game. It was a gift to him, but a striker's still got to be there. Scored in back-to-back games. He's one goal away from beating his tally from last season, which was 3 in 26 Premier League appearances.
Yeah. Not tight.
Peter.
He doesn't really assist either, does he? That's the
problem. He won a penalty at Man City.
He did win a penalty, yeah.
Next summer, what are you saying?
I'm saying we've got enough players in that position.
Well,
Marcus.
if Callum Wilson's going for it, why can't Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
Callum Wilson might be going for it in the same way that I'm going for it. He's not going to get in, are they?
Oh, you little naughty sausage.
Oh, dear.
Good to see Cole Palmer back on the field, though, Jim.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've seen him, isn't it? I think you're right. He might have done a little bit better with that chance, but there's a bit of rustiness there. He's going to be like a massive asset for them, and it's perhaps gone under the radar a little bit how much any team would miss a player that effective and that kind of instrumental to the attacking output of the team. So yeah, I think that they're in a funny situation at the moment, Chelsea, aren't they, in terms of consistency? Because prior to the Arsenal game, people are saying that they look like a real title contender. They put a performance in like that, and they absolutely look like a title contender. And then they lose this game, and a lot of that comes from the schedule, I think. And that's something you always have to factor in. But it is, of course, something that teams have to deal with as well. So he is coming back at the perfect time. Really, he should be fresh. There's a lot of games coming up. There's a chance for him to kind of really get a run going and influence them. And yeah, that is really the challenge for them, isn't it? With the project that Chelsea are building is to find that consistency, and it really feels like the next and possibly the last step in them being kind of back to the Chelsea that we've seen in some of their kind of more successful periods. Obviously, they've won 2 trophies last year, so they're in a successful period. But in terms of like consistently challenging for the league, it is all about that now.
So when fans sing, "We've got our Chelsea back," you'd nod and go, "Yeah." I think you have, lads.
Well, I mean, have they though, Marcus? Because he keeps rotating so much. Who knows what's the original?
Chelsea were one of the first teams to rotate. If you remember back in the 90s, was it Vialli or something? They were one of the. Right. It was
like a microwave hot plate.
Yeah, if you like. They were like a what are those? A rustler, the burgers, the microwavable burgers. Peter,
you are a fan of those rustlers.
I know you were. Yeah, I've never had one.
You've never had one? I thought,
yeah,
because you're a man who likes those chicken bites you like. Refrigerator. You're a refrigerator man. You never had a rustler.
When you say I'm a refrigerator man, I just want to tell the listeners that I've had refrigerators a couple of times over the years, and I think
you also do raid fridges.
Yeah, you do.
You do. That is your rep.
Yeah, that is true. But but I don't rustle them.
No, it's a good point. Actually.
All right, I'll come round yours for a microwavable burger at some point, Peter. How about that, eh? Can you think of anything more marvellous than that, Jim? But anyway, Chelsea, yes, they introduced the idea to the Premier League of squad rotation. So if they're doing that now, then they have got their Chelsea back.
I suppose so.
Oh, you see. Well, anyway, Chelsea, they're now 4th, 9 points behind Arsenal, who are top. And this is the funny thing this season. In fact, every season now in the Premier League. If Arsenal weren't so obviously the favourites for the title this season, you'd think, they're doing okay. Like if Arsenal even, just 3 or 4 points worse off this season, you think, well, maybe Chelsea, Villa, Man City are in there. To me, it's like just so painfully obvious that Arsenal are going to win the league this year. I know you're not going to agree with me, Jim, because you think that if you do, it might have some sort of effect on the future.
And it will.
I wish I could refute that, Marcus, but I'm not a superstitious man in any regard other than this one. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
What football does,
even though I know that's nonsense, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, but Chelsea, I think when you said that a lot of people were touting for the title, I think a few people were maybe suggesting, were they in it?
Sure.
And I wonder if Chelsea themselves believed and were talking like that, because it's a hell of a mindset to get yourself into. I can only imagine, but from what people have said when they are going for a league title, to enter every game in with a steely determination and a dead-eyed kind of, it's a victory today. We'll do it expressing ourselves, or we'll do it bundling one in, or defending for our lives at the 10 minutes. Today is a victory, lads.
Yeah.
No ifs, no buts. You've got to get yourself into that. Now, obviously, that kind of plays down some of the more flair sides and expressive sides, like Guardiola's Man City when they're in the peak and so on. But that determination, that idea of it's 3 points today. No ifs, no buts. That's what they've got to do. Whereas I think with Chelsea, to get themselves in that mindset at the moment with, it's okay, youthful squad or whatever you want to call it, I think maybe that's just slightly too early. I think it's the kind of thing with Chelsea that if they found themselves in a couple of months, they were there with Arsenal, then they would start to get into that mindset. And I know people might say, well, that's a bit silly, but basically what I'm saying is if they go away and lose 3-1 to Leeds, that dressing room wouldn't feel the same as if it was Arsenal who had just lost 3-1 to Leeds and Leeds had done that to them.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean. So I think they'll be there with the cups, and I think they can do it as they showed in the Club World Cup, and obviously to a lesser extent the Europa Conference League, which was theirs for the taking all day long last season. But I think in the Champions League, I think they will go deep. I think you will see more of those kind of performances like they put in against Barcelona at home. Whereas when it comes to the week in, week out grind and thrust and just energy sapping, title chasing kind of campaign that you need to get yourself into a position for the title, I don't think that's in them. I don't think it's in anybody really other than Arsenal, Man City maybe, but after what you saw at the Cottage and, I've got
through experience, if nothing else, I would say.
Yeah.
And Chelsea are also a very young team.
Yes.
That has to be factored into it. So, this is a long-term project, isn't it?
You can't win anything with kids, Jim.
Well,
but that's also kind of like why you'd think that Maresca should really be kind of trying to foster relationships in the side. You know what I mean? Like try and keep a little bit of stability from week to week, because this kind of like rotating is no one kind of. Like, how many did he take out of the back four from the last time they played? 2, 3,
well, but I
like
suppose he would say he's trying to keep everybody happy, though. Do you think they need to go bowling and laser quests?
I just think they need to just have a little bit of time in the side with each other. I'm all for competitiveness, but I just do think there's needless disruption, especially with teams like quite an intense sort of side like Leeds, who are fighting for their lives.
Especially if those players have paid their subs as well.
Exactly, you got to give them time. You can't just have them running the line. Like Villanova's over 50s every weekend.
Jamie Gittins is running the line again. This is ridiculous. He costs a lot of money. Oh dear.
Is he filming? Is he filming with the phone?
I don't. Goodness knows.
There's one interesting thing I noticed in the game, which was that Gabriel Goodmanson had a very good game for Leeds, and he had mud all over the front of his shirt, except on the Red Bull logo.
Oh,
and I'm just like,
I see.
How have they done that?
Some kind of hydrophobic coating over the Red Bull logo to make sure everyone can see the wings creating energy drink. I don't know.
Red Bull just remains an absolutely baffling product. Just really weird energy drink that for some reason has a sporting empire.
Yeah, true enough.
Space.
It's not the weirdest thing that's got a sporting empire, though, is it, Jim?
No, I suppose not.
Then we'll leave that there. All right, coming up after this, barns were burned in Brighton.
Always believe in your soul.
That's it. No, you're getting up there.
You got the power to know. Indestructible. Always believe it. Carlton Go.
Well, back to Football Ramble, everybody. Brighton 3, Aston Villa 4. Unai Emery said in the build-up to this game, he went, wow, what a match. He wasn't wrong, Peter.
No, he wasn't wrong.
Goals bloody galore.
No, and
what
it's
an
kind
entertaining game.
And what the best thing about it was, and what was such a credit to the Premier League, was just that Emery was not settling for the draw.
Oh.
and it just shows a team who were out the other side of that kind of period of low confidence. And it was just like, we're going for this, and we're going to get it, and we're going to have it. Thank you.
But I loved it when Ollie Watkins scored the equaliser to make it 2-2, which was a lovely finish. And really good to see him and his confidence up. Emery took his jacket off and chucked it on the floor, like he was bloody Steve Tyler after the third song. It was amazing.
He nearly hit a Villa player as well as he ran past.
It's class. Yeah, Yuri Tielemans can't come on because he's taken a zip to the eye. It was brilliant. I mean, the game, flipping Van Hecker scored after 9 minutes. And
chaotic that first. I mean, the keeper probably should have done a little bit better there. And their second was a lovely move, but it was a huge deflection. So it's kind of a little bit. The 2-0 lead for Brighton was a little bit artificial. I kind of felt.
They caught Villa cold, and bearing in mind that's Brighton's first Premier League defeat at home this season. Yeah. So when they go 2-0 up, you think to yourself, "Well, I'll tell you what, Villa, you're struggling a bit because the goalkeeper only came in after Emi Martinez picked up an injury in the warm up."
Yeah, so it was a back spasm, wasn't it? Which leads me to think he might have been demonstrating his trophy hump to someone and just sort of put something out.
Put it out,
Which happens when you get like north of 30. Any little thing can do that.
Do you think he maybe got down on all fours behind one of the Brighton players and said, push him over me, and it just went wrong?
Maybe.
He was like, it could have been something like that.
I think he's the pusher though in that scenario.
I think he's happy to just contribute. I think he's the one who goes down on all fours behind a person because you've got to initiate it.
Yeah.
So
completely agree.
But anyway, so Bizot comes in and, as you say, doesn't start the game well.
No, but ends it incredibly well.
Well-
That one-handed save was, a three-pointer, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you know what the Welbeck chance you're referencing? The crossing, I think Welbeck did incredibly well to arch his head to get that effort in on goal. So had he have scored, it would have been a beauty. But it ends up being a fabulous save. So yeah, you're absolutely right. But
why is he not in the England conversation, Marcus? If you're throwing
well,
DCL in there,
of course he is. We've been talking about Welbeck for England, and now we're
You
talking
have.
about Ollie Watkins again, because Watkins
Yes.
back among the goals, scored his first Premier League goal since September. And he said, it's been a tricky period in my career. I've not had this since the manager came in, but I kept working hard and you get your rewards. Emery said he needs those goals. He needs to be calm. He needs to keep going and get balance. And he got it. So it all came up Ollie Watkins. The first one was, one might say, sort of classic striker stuff. But that second goal he scored, Jim, with the laces, come on. Under pressure with defenders as well.
I think that is the sort of goal that comes when you've battled for your first goal in a while, and you've got that kind of scrappy one, and then you can see the wind is in his sails a bit. It's an absolutely brilliant ball over the top from Morgan Rogers as well, who's had a bit of a funny start to the season, but he's starting to show like flashes of the brilliance that we know he has a lot more regularly. And yeah, I do think the confidence in that maybe comes from that first goal, as you say, because Watkins is a funny one in that scenario, isn't he? Because sometimes he misses chances like that. And then he'll bury something from a really tight angle that seems a lot harder. And I think you can probably see his focus in that second goal, which is where they need him to be. And I'm really pleased for him, actually, because a lot of people were starting to wonder if this was kind of him beginning to tail off, particularly in a World Cup year. It seems like he wasn't putting up a huge amount of fight for that shirt, but I think there's probably more left in the tank from Watkins for sure. And we saw a lot of that last night. And it's not just Watkins, is it? Was also very impressed with Daniel Mallon and the consistency that he's started to show, because he had a slow start when he joined them in January, and he's really kind of contributing now.
He is. You're right. Marlon is chipping in, and he gets what is ultimately the winning goal. So right to mention him. I think Onana played really well too.
Yeah,
and I was pleased for him to score. And when he scores, and the sort of turnaround is complete, if you like, the way he celebrated Emery, the away end, it was just like, yeah, this is ours now. And there was an inevitability about it, despite Brighton still very much being in the game.
Yeah, and I think actually, because Brighton's first goal came from a corner that should have been a goal kick, Villa were rightly angry about that. And I think they really channeled that anger really well, and they used it. And I think they're up in third now. And what's taken them there is resilience and belief.
Yeah,
they have really sort of kind of banished that early season form and just said, no, this isn't who we are. This isn't how this season is going to go. And they look as good as they've been under Emery, really.
Yeah,
I know. Especially, we spoke about them the other day, didn't we? About the amount of shots they're taking from distance and how their general XG has been very low, and then they get 4 goals in a really tricky tie against a really tricky team. 2 teams that we probably should have mentioned more this season. There's always a couple of teams that go that way, but this is a tough assignment, especially the form that Brighton have been in, and Villa, really impressive.
Yeah, it was a very satisfying win for Villa, definitely. They're now on a run of 6 straight wins, and as you say, sit third in the league. And with the league table as it is, you think, well, there's a real chance for teams to either cement their place but get back into the Champions League, whether that's having been out of it or qualify again. I mean, I know people are thinking, come on, what are you talking about Champions League spots so early on in this season? Yeah. But for Villa, I think...
they've done it before, haven't they?
They have done it before.
And they can channel that experience.
Yeah, because when they qualified for the Champions League for the first time, it was a monumental effort. You remember those players? I think were they at like the Villa sort of end of season dinner or something. They were all together, weren't they? When they did it, they all celebrated.
Yeah,
rightly so. Then the following season, having put a great shift in that Champions League campaign. The following season, obviously, they're not in it now. They're in the Europa League, which is another avenue, of course, a realistic one, certainly with Emery in charge. This season, with Liverpool way off the pace, Spurs don't look like they're going to bother the top 4 or top 5. Manchester United, still Manchester United. There is a real chance, and even this is perhaps being a little bit too much. But even a side like Brighton, there's usually one or two sides. Bournemouth did it for about half a season or whatever last year, and you think, you never know. You never bloody know.
It's more, everything's up for grabs this season for a few games of consistency. I just think teams just need to sort of go back to basics and sort of go, right, what are we good at? Like, even just use Matty Cash on Villa's side of things. Use Matty Cash's excellent corners for something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just sort of, right, what have we got in the box? What are we good at? Let's focus on that and let's make it a little bit more simple and just, get a draw away from home rather than a loss, and any sort of consistency where you're not losing games and you're not losing massive amounts of points, you can get up there because everyone's kind of falling away.
Yeah, I do think you could probably go back to 2007 and find a podcast in and around November, December, every single year that we've been doing the Football Ramble, and hear us having a conversation like this about, certain teams possibly kind of being able to push into the top four. It feels possible from here, even having said that. It often does, doesn't it? But I don't think you can put Villa in that bracket, really, precisely because they've done it already.
Yeah, I think so.
Precisely because they've got Emery. I think they've got a more than realistic chance of kind of sustaining this, because it does look like some of the kind of big hitters are going to kind of struggle to find form until potentially it's too late. So again, for them, as you're alluding to there, Pete, like, consistency is key, isn't it?
Now, that victory was Aston Villa's 62nd in the Premier League under Unai Emery, which is the most any manager across the club's history in the competition has achieved. He's overtaken John Gregory and Martin O'Neill, both who had 61. Now, I know that's a Premier League stat, and football existed way before the Premier League, but still, I think that's noteworthy. It shows you the work Emery's been doing there since he's arrived, and very impressively has turned it around. So they're very much on the march, one would have to say. Coming up after this, it's another impressive display from Sunderland. Welcome back, everybody. Liverpool 1, Sunderland 1. Oh, nearly a famous night for Sunderland. It's a good point. They were happy with the point. You saw the away end, you saw the players. David Cartledge even said on our very WhatsApp group he was happy with a point. Could have been more. Perhaps we'll get to that in a minute.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that we're in December? Sunderland fans are saying that ultimately they are happy with a point at Anfield. What on earth?
It's a fair comment, Jim. It really is. Liverpool were really poor again.
Yeah.
Oh,
they really
dear.
were. I think that we've seen enough of them now to see that this is
to write them
real
off for the
problem rather than a kind of short blip. I think the problem is we know how many talented players they've got in their squad, and we talk about it a lot. I've been saying a lot. I think it's just a matter of time before they click, and that may not even be this season at this point, or certainly not at any point where it's going to salvage it for them. But they are all playing in such an average manner at the moment. So many of them are just way, way below par. And it is...
Well, I was going to say, it's not average, Jim, as you've corrected yourself. It is below par. Like, the intensity's not there. The winning the duels, everything. It's you can
overhitting
sometimes...
passes and making poor decisions.
I mean, they're just so flimsy. I mean, it's really, really odd and baffling. And at times, I would maybe even use the word eerie when you see a side with this amount of quality who won the Premier League in such fine fashion last season. It's very, very strange, and it always seems like you kind of are very hesitant to say it again. Like, are we underplaying the death of Diogo Jota here? Like it's
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's such a...
I think it is a major, major factor.
Yeah, perhaps more than
we sort of risk repeating ourselves here.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this looks like it's a psychological thing, and grief affects people in really unpredictable ways. And being in a spotlight like this as well, where you're criticised for everything that isn't a success, is I would imagine the last thing that players need.
Totally.
It's a horrible, horrible thing to have to deal with in the public eye.
Yeah,
But it's, at the end of the day, like, we're a football podcast and we kind of have to, talk about the things that are happening on the field.
Of course.
Like, it's the perfect storm for Liverpool at home with an incredible squad where you expected to get something. Sunderland come here and really do frustrate. And I just get the sense that there was a lot of focus on Isak's 2 passes last night. And you've got to remember that, like, this side was always set up to score goals from quite wide at the top of the side. And so they don't really know how to feed a striker, and they've not needed to for such a long time. What they need is like a classroom hamster to look after and just share it around so they know how to look after someone like that. And maybe they'll actually get the ball to Isak in some quite devastating areas. But right now, they're just finding it very hard to break down pretty well drilled defences in a way that they were able to do so like last season.
I mean, I kind of disagree with an awful lot of that. The reason, not labouring the point, is going back to it. The reason why I made the point earlier on is there's a psychological thing, and this isn't a case of the tactics or the formation or we're trying to get it used to. It's the intensity. It's the complete lack, which is very stark. I mean, Jamie Carragher said they sleepwalked through this match, so it's very, very strange. Alexander Isak signing, like, you would think at some point he will come good. And you would think at some point, whether it's under this manager or another one, whether it's this season or next season, at some point this Liverpool side will begin to play football and start to challenge and start to win games again. But he played exactly like he did at Newcastle. He's not a hard-working footballer. He is a forward who scores goals, but you need to get him the ball in the box. That needs to be the way. Would the best thing Liverpool could do in the January transfer window would be to get rid of Salah and get Jacob Murphy. He just knows how to feed them.
Well, honestly, I think a bit of bad luck for Liverpool prior to this season was that Luis Diaz wanted to leave. So I think I don't think they'd have sold him had he not essentially said that he wanted to move on. And obviously he's having a brilliant time at Bayern Munich. There are still moments where you think he should score and he doesn't, but he's also he's working so hard out there. I think he's got a couple of assists where he's kind of been on the floor and has managed to get his foot in there and tee up a teammate. And I know, like, Bayern Munich dominate pretty much every game they play, but Diaz is exactly the player that both Ekitike and Isak would thrive beside. And they don't really have anyone, especially with a drop off of. But where would Wirtz go with that quality? Yeah, I mean, well, where would Wirtz go is the bloody name of some sort of one-man show at the Edinburgh Festival about the whole situation this year, isn't it? Like, that is the problem. I mean, obviously, he kind of. I know the shot wasn't going in, but it's not his goal, without him. At least, it's not his goal. But the goal doesn't happen without him, right? So that is at least a contribution there. That is a bright spot here, even if he doesn't technically get the goal. You're right. For a footballer who cost over 100 million quid, at least if it wasn't for him, that goal would have got it. No, I'm joking. We know Wirtz is a top player and he's going to come good, but I did feel a bit gutted for him because, as you say, the way he sort of showed a bit of calm and composure and the Wirtz that we know he can be, you got to go, it's an own goal, mate. Unlucky, pal.
The thing that we've sort of touched upon early in the season, like, we kind of forget that even pre-Jota's sad death, they weren't playing well. That's a fair point. They ended last season quite poorly. So this may just be that they just were so good at the start of last season, or the first, say, I don't know, 4 months of last season, is that they just. And nobody challenged them last season, so this is probably where they should be under Slot. He's not a miracle worker. No, well, it was in March, wasn't it, when they were beaten by PSG? I think early March, if I remember correctly. And they won some games, still put in a few performances. But you're right, it wasn't like it was before that. I suppose that cleared the schedule for them as well, didn't it, going out of the Champions League early like that? Well, because the week after they played the League Cup final or whenever it was, very soon after, and they were just non-existent, really. I mean, Newcastle were absolutely brilliant, but so yes, that's a fair point. It's this weird thing. Like I say, I was scrambling around the other week or on the pod trying to think of other examples. I thought of Jose Mourinho's Chelsea the second time he was there when they win the league and they were scraping over the line to win it. I say when they were scraping over, you could see that they were quite tired.
but they were getting the results, and they were just, let's get over the line. They do so, and then however many months it was into the second season, it just wasn't happening, and Mourinho goes. It could well be a very, very odd case of that.
Yeah,
that's going on, and of course a number of factors go into that, but ultimately you come back to that word again, inertia. I mean, it seems ridiculous to say it, but happened with Leicester City under Ranieri. I know that was such a unique situation. But look, we should talk about Sunderland as well, and what they can do on a football pitch, because this side it just never ceases to impress us, really. Alderete and Ballard at the back.
Yeah.
I mean, again, anyone can be forgiven for not getting through there, because when they're playing like that, my goodness, they know how to defend.
Yeah, and they look like a really experienced sort of canny Premier League operator, don't they?
Yeah.
There's a freshness about them, which I just really, really enjoy. And as we sort of touched on at the start, you're looking at this and thinking, if maybe Isidore backs himself to beat Alisson without rounding the keeper there and doesn't give Chiesa time to get back and make that incredible block, then you're looking at them kind of running out of Anfield with all 3 points. But
even with an attending defender, he could have smashed that harder and higher, I think.
He really, I mean, it's a golden opportunity. The real sickener for me is the fact the goalkeeper doesn't get an assist for that.
What a ball! Yeah, it was incredible.
It's such a quality. Just the swerve on it. It's absolutely pinpoint. If you gave David Beckham a sniper rifle, I'm not sure he could have done that. You know what I mean? It was sensational.
One of the joys of the kind of, the long balls coming back into fashion in the Premier League, when the Premier League is now full of really sort of good, kind of technically accomplished footballers. Morgan Rogers' assistant for Ollie Watkins was an example of it as well. Like, the long balls are not always just, hit really high. Some of them are absolutely on a sixpence, and that was a perfect example of it. But I mean, like Sunderland, I said this after the game against Arsenal. They just want it against everyone. Just bring it on. They want the fight. They want to be tested against the kind of best opposition. And really, what they've done in most of those occasions is if they've kind of outworked them and outfought them.
In the next 30 days, they're playing Man City twice, and it's the Etihad this weekend. Who would discount a win? They've got, obviously, the derby. They're obviously going to be up for that. Obviously, AFCON starts to come into kick it the gear.
Massive.
But I mean, their December is like Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, Leeds, Man City, Spurs. In this kind of form, with this kind of defensive organisation, you'd be like, are they going to win every one of those?
Yeah.
I love it.
Surprised to see Brian Broby only actually made his Premier League debut last night.
Really?
He's come off the bench a
right.
couple of times.
He makes the first start.
His first start. Yeah,
I was about to say, Jim, you correct yourself quickly.
You've forgotten a goal there, haven't you, Jim? But yeah, I mean, that shows you that they've actually got a decent amount of depth there as well.
Takes a special team to beat them, and that team name is Fulham. Let's remember the good times. Mo Salah was on the bench for a second successive game.
It's not him.
Yeah,
it's not entirely him.
It isn't. We did stress that to suggest a workman,
Cluedo, isn't it? Who did this?
To suggest a very, very laboured workman-like performance against a very unadventurous West Ham side wasn't a big enough sample size to suggest they were better off without him in the team. What do you do? You just might as well put him back in for the next game, because you know what he can do. Maybe he can. Oh dear, it's so bizarre what's going on with Liverpool at the moment, and we're all scrambling around and saying the same things that perhaps we've said. Everyone's almost trying to find that definitive. Aha, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It very odd indeed. But
and it's to such credit that the teams like Sunderland should be treating themselves like, a Champions League team, effectively.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be so cagey. They shouldn't be so defensive against some sides. Maybe that's their kind of special sauce, but I do think that Sunderland could do with sort of going, you know what? We're probably the form team in the league. Let's fucking go and try and win some football matches, especially like we saw at the death last night.
Yeah.
That, like you said, that should have been a goal. It should have been all 3 points wrapped
Peter,
up.
you were very quick to... In fact, you were one of the first doubters that I can.
I was a boo boy.
Think of Virgil van Dijk, and he was very poor for the first goal.
His bum was very good. He's in the situation where he feels like he's in such a malaise, and he feels so kind of responsible for his fellow defenders that he doesn't really want to even close space anymore, and that's really, really strange. He just seems he's a shadow. I think even my kind of yap at the start of the season, I thought it was one of those things that you say, and then people have a go at you, and it doesn't really happen, but it really did.
Yeah,
go. Virgil van Dijk's not his way effectively for the rest of the season.
Very true. Although David Raya made a fantastic save last night, kept a clean sheet, so you still got to wait on that one.
Fine. High crosses, guys. Put some high crosses in to flap. I do think David Raya has got the David James DNA. We just need to get it out of him.
Well, Pete, I mean, Arsenal haven't had a goalkeeper in years that is as good as claiming high crosses. He claimed so many last night. He catches rather than punches.
All right, fine.
But
All right, fine.
There you go.
But
you've angered the Boglin there, Jim.
I have. Yeah.
Right, let's move on to something. Get on with it.
But sorry, I will give Pete his due. He does sometimes make an absolute suicide pass. He does that as well. So I'll meet you halfway on that one.
It's the modern game. It's the modern game. That'll keep the Boglin at bay.
Yeah,
now, let's finish with this. Dan Burn. We talked about his once feud with Kai Havertz and how they buried the hatchet in the summer on a pre-season tour. Well, today
burying a hatchet, I feel like it should. That feels like you're burying a hatchet into someone's back.
I was
going to
say exactly the same thing. It's such a violent phrase, yeah.
So you go out to the woods and you bury a hat. That's even worse. Burying a weapon.
Because it's like we were going to hack each other to pieces with this.
Yeah,
but let's
bury it so the police can't find it. What have you done with that hatchet, Dave?
You look like you've already used it on your way here, so we'll get rid of that as evidence. Dan Burn will be, in a way, performing in Blyth's pantomime as the genie from Aladdin. We love a Christmas pantomime, and the tradition.
Oh no, we don't.
Is very good, Jim. Well played. Nice. The tradition is obviously decades old in this fine nation, but Dan Burn is going to contribute to the one that's happening in Blyth. Get ready for wishes, laughter, and a giant dose of Toon magic. Tickets are flying faster than a magic carpet. Did we see any magic carpets outside St James's Park when the Piff Posse took over? Did they go that far?
Yeah, well, I imagine that was something that we probably would have done. They ticked every other kind of slightly xenophobic box in the crowd. Do you think that we should be paid for advertising this bloody what's it called? Pantomime.
If we have the choice, absolutely. Should we just invoice?
They've absolutely done us here, haven't they? They've absolutely done us.
I don't think we are going to get paid, but if they want to chuck us some cash. But he's not going to be there, of course, because he's got a busy schedule. But he's going to be the voice of the genie in the lamp.
God, so full-back, centre-back, genie in the lamp.
To ruin it all for everybody going, it's pre-recorded. He's not behind the curtain.
Do you think they paid him?
I hope not.
I think he probably wouldn't have taken a fee for that, but he should do, just out of respect, just a quid,
Just out of respect for the profession.
Just a quid.
Out of respect for tax for services rendered and tax reasons.
Maybe.
This is some not GDPR. It's the thing that if you have like more than one job, it's better. You remember when the ITV breakfast presenter, the Scottish one,
Lorraine Kelly,
was pretending that she was playing the character of Lorraine Kelly for tax purposes.
Yeah.
And it basically screwed everybody in an entertainment or presenting sphere for years afterwards. But I'm just wondering whether Dan Burn needs to take at least £1 worth of fee.
But if you pretend you're a character who is also you, that is a way around it.
Yeah, exactly.
Baffling.
I mean, which I reckon I could probably argue in a court of law.
I'm not convinced I've ever met the real Pete Donaldson.
Exactly. Oh. Didn't mean to. I was trying to make my voice go deep, and I pressed a drum. Oh, sorry, everyone.
You should have just blamed that on the Boglin.
I am Pete Donaldson, the real one.
There we go.
Gentlemen, can I get back to Dan Burn? Because I don't know whether he's getting any money from the pantomime people, but he has received an honorary degree from Northumbria University, along with Eddie Howe. As in, Eddie Howe's also got a degree, hasn't been given Eddie Howe. They were both made doctors of civil law.
Yeah, see, I feel sorry for them because I know it's an honorary title, but it sounds more like a made-up one. I'm a doctor of law. What?
Or civil law.
at least give them a title that reflects the kind of honorary nature of it and the prestige it deserves.
Doctor of Banter.
Well, do you not think that is there not some shithole university that can give us one?
Almost certainly.
Not now.
Is there not like like a crappy online one that's like, pay 500 quid and you get a doctorate or
You've
something.
gone in way too high with 500 quid. If we're going to get someone to approach us
I'm
now,
not paying
I'm not
it.
paying that.
It's an honorary title.
It's basically an honorary degree. It's like a an OBE or something from the government.
Right,
It's just at a more local level.
It's a pat on the back, isn't it? Yeah. Dan Burn and Eddie Howe have got a in the picture where they're wearing their robes and their hat and stuff. Eddie Howe looks like he's in a Renaissance painting. He's got a very Renaissance painting-y face in it. Very enjoyable.
Oh, and isn't Dan Burn tall?
Isn't Dan Burn tall?
Yeah, well, look, they're both doctors of civil law now.
Yeah.
So
and Sir Bud Murray got one as well. It's on the Sunderland side of things. So show some respect.
Well, I will. I absolutely will show an enormous amount of respect, and I'm going to respect the listeners too by ending this podcast now.